church derived from. And today you're going to see a few clips on your church and how it got started.
Started in 1974, worshiping houses.
I remember when we first started the church, it was just a few families, and we started meeting at people's houses. It was a pretty small gathering. I still remember our first Sunday school. It was we just had one Sunday school class, instead of 10.
In 1977, we moved to a rented building in Pasadena, Fairmount Street, the neighborhood center. Since we bought the church, in Victoria Street, North Shore, still we stayed in the neighborhood center. So in 1978, we assembled in Pastor T.C. Chaco's house. Then we decided, the meeting was presided by Reverend Uman Abraham. We decided to go together the name, the Indian Pentecostal Church of God. And we registered the church in 1979. And we appointed Pastor P.S. Thomas as our first pastor full-time.
Eventually moved into a rented facility and grew enough to get our own church. And now we're at our present location. So we've come a long way. I remember the picnics we used to have every year, all the kids getting together, how much fun we would have. We'd always do our water balloon fights at the end and get everybody wet.
As I look back to the very day when I arrived here, the way the members of the church with all enthusiasm, they came to the airport and received us and then brought to the church sanctuary, and we had a fellowship.
The different events, going to the Sorbonne, hanging out with the guys, girls, and with the church, going to ICPF camp, road trip.
I remember hanging out with all the guys at church, and we'd always, every Sunday, we would all get together and play basketball. And back then we didn't have a gym, so we would always find some place, no matter how hot it was, how cold it was. We'd always get together every Sunday. We all looked forward to it, and it was a great bonding experience.
The fact that there's a good youth group who loves the Lord. I find that this church has a lot of potential to do many things for God.
Yeah, it was my parents that forced me to come when I was young, so I didn't have a choice in the matter. But what makes me stay, I think, mainly is the fellowship. It's the people that I grew up with in that church, and my friends and my family, and actually we're all family, I believe, and I feel like IPC is my family, and I think there's a great bond there. So.
Now, my dreams are fading.
God's very special focus on this church with regards to the mission of God. The second is the commitment of God's people in our church.
People are willing to take risk for making changes. For example, bringing a youth pastor, now changing into 2 services, and those are some of the things about our church does. And so it's a church that is a model to many Malayali churches in America.
I guess mainly it's the people there. That's my reason for coming. Especially the potential that I see, especially among the young people. I think we got such a great potential for growing and really expanding and doing mighty work for God, and that's one thing that I really like about our church.
I see IPC Hebron growing. As they grow, they're going to make a lot of changes. So I see that a lot of people getting involved.
I see a lot of potential for our church, and I see a lot of potential for growth. I believe our church will be a leader among the Pentecostal churches, and as far as what we do with youth ministry and what we do with our English worship, I see our English worship and the Mayan worship both expanding and growing. I feel, that God's bringing a great revival to our church.
The future of the church in the hands of the Lord. But the generation taking now in charge of all these facilities, sincerely praying God will help them to carry on this work. That is my hope and my prayer. God will help us to go forward.
IPC Hebron had a very humble beginning, but the Lord has brought us up to this level. I firmly believe what we have done only may be a very little portion of many things what we supposed to do.